All right, good people. How we doing? We're gonna get started here, but we're gonna start off with a little bonus footage this morning, right before we get into the story here. If I don't get too hot, I'll keep my robe on, but I'm about halfway done with my coffee, so the heat is you guys can y'all see the heat waves coming up out of this thing? It's getting a little warm up in here. But anyways, we're gonna start this off with a little quick bonus story. If you look at the top of your screen, you'll see here Chicago bakery discovers regular customer is a long lost son. That's all I'm gonna say about it. Let's get right into it. Hit that like too.
Hey, you gonna eat all that like that?
So in those early days, he comes in. Were you paying any attention to him?
No, none at all. I didn't think he was special in any way.
Did it really happen? Man, that just felt mean.
That easy rapport foreshadowing a life-altering explanation. Vamar was adopted as a child.
The way I found out was my adoptive mother just brought it up, kind of matter-of-factly, like, yeah, remember when I told you were adopted? No.
You'd never heard that before.
No.
So he started working with a genealogist who found his biological mother.
You can't tell this story without talking God, because I was led the entire way.
Little did he know, he'd be led right behind the counter of his favorite bakery, back to Lenore. Pregnant at just 17, at the time, Lenore felt adoption was the best way forward.
Every time I think about how I disappointed my parents, that's just very overwhelming for me. So all I could think about was, how can I make this better for my parents, and just kind of go on.
50 years later, she was given the name and number of her son to call, thinking he'd be a complete stranger.
I called him from the bakery line because I wasn't sure, who he was or anything.
Give me some sugar pops up. I didn't order anything. I'm thinking, like, why? Then I heard a voice. I'm like, Miss Lenore? Like, yeah.
Wow.
Like,
Wow.
Miss Lenore? Like, yeah. I'm like, this is for Mars.
So wait, are you two just screaming at each other on
We're
the
just
phone?
screaming.
Yeah,
We're just like screaming.
it was a
We're
lot
just
of, oh my
screaming. We're
God.
just like, oh my goodness, no!
Yeah.
No! You can't, no!
And the pair started noticing some similarities.
I started seeing, like, oh, the little wisecracking thing. Yeah. I got somebody to blame for that now.
We are so much alike, it is crazy.
They sound alike. They look alike.
As the two were making up for lost
That's crazy.
time, Lenore was also
This is a
fighting
wonderful
breast cancer.
black
and
story.
the shop was taking a toll. So Vamar decided to step up, learning how to bake at night. Today, he's running the bakery full-time.
I couldn't just sell it to anybody or have anybody coming in. They had to feel it. They had to feel the people. And so he loves it like I love it. That's huge for me.
And Vamar has mastered his craft.
Are these the famous pound cakes?
Yes.
Yes.
These are the Vamar pound cakes?
These are the Vamar
These are
pound
my
cakes.
babies.
Mother and son now together,
Wow.
feeding the souls of their community.
Look,
This world is full of people that don't do good things, And it just so happens that my mother is a pillar of the community.
I can't explain it. It almost feels like I have never been away from him.
wow.
Are you kidding?
That is amazing.
Oh my God, from this couch. Stories I've ever seen.
That is amazing.
It's pretty incredible.
Wow.
Thank you so much to Vamar and for Miss Lindsay for letting me into that shop. I felt such a special connection going back home and being with them. Lucky for us guys, they took a little break after the holidays because they had to recuperate. But they
I gotta go to that shop. Give me some sugar in Chicago. I gotta go there, y'all. That's a wonderful story. I love to hear wonderful black stories because we hear too much black drama. We see too much black drama on the news. We watch too much black drama on movies, television shows. It's too much black drama going on. This is one story that needs to go around the world. I mean, it's a very unique story. It's a happy ending. We don't see enough happy endings. Anyways, let's get right into it, man. Y'all sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Hit that like coming through the door, leave a comment, all that good stuff. We're gonna get right into it. Y'all hold tight. All right. Y'all know what it do. let's get right into it. Where we at? All right. This is where we left off yesterday. And like I said, this robe got to come off, y'all. This robe got to come off. Got my water right here. Take these headphones off. I'm back. Let's do it. You just sound old, that's all. What? What you trying to say? Said Lily. I'm just saying you sound different. Let it be known that Frederick Jr. showed up. Oh, Frederick Jr. That's the dad. Alright. Anyways, I'm just calling to ask if I could borrow $10 until my good for nothing dad shows up. Shows up. That's how we'll fix that. Don't want to overthink it, y'all. Delete. For what? Sonia asked. Let's see. $10 for what? $10 for what? Sonia asked. Dang, girl, you don't have to get all loud. I don't want your mom to hear. Dang girl, you don't have to get all loud. I don't want your mom to hear. You know how nosy she is. Why do you need money this time, Lil? She asked. I need to get Suge something for his birthday. Birthday? Why are you waiting till now? The party's today. Look, I didn't wait. I already have something, but it's cheap. Well, what is it? A pocket watch from Walmart. It was only $30, the girl laughed. I don't know how much pocket watches cost from Walmart. I may have to do some research on that. Let me get me a sip of water, and I took my robe off, and I'm in my office, and it's 28 degrees outside, y'all. My office is over my garage, so needless to say, it's about 65 degrees inside here right now. So now I'm getting cold. Okay. What's wrong with that? Asked Sonia. Nothing, it's just cheap, that's all. And it looks cheap. What do you mean it looks cheap? It's from Walmart, right? It looks like it might only last a year. And stop talking so loud. You know your mom got them country ears. Lil, for a $30 watch, a year is a long time. As a matter of fact, my dad's watch didn't even last a year, and I paid $40. And I paid $40 for it. All right, I get it. What about $9? Lily, you know if I could, I would, but I can't. Not right now. Why not? Well, because. Sonia paused to think of a believable lie. Hold on, my mom's calling me, she fibbed. Before Lily could respond, Sonia's deliberate loud yell came through the cell phone, causing Lily to jerk it away from her ear. Huh? Lily heard on the other end. stalling while remembering the last time money was loaned to the smooth-talking New Jerseyan. It had taken 3 months before it was repaid. And that was only after throwing hint after hint about the $5 nearly every day. She decided to bail from the conversation altogether. Coming back on with an agitated tone, she said, "Look, girl, I gotta go. This crazy woman is complaining about the bathroom being a mess. We'll talk about it later." Meanwhile, Mrs. Wallace was standing by listening to her mischievous daughter tell a bold-faced lie, giving a shameful grin as memories of her own childhood floated by. She could only shake her head in embarrassment as she remarked in passing, "Girl, you know it don't pay to be so doggone conniving. You need to learn how to say no." Ah, man, I'm getting cold again. Y'all hold tight, man. Hold tight. Okay, I'm back. Back at the pond, with neon bobbers floating on the water, Jacob had been explaining to his father why the family needed a dog, begging for a puppy. He had a constant thing with Jacob for nearly begging for a puppy had been a constant thing with Jacob for nearly a month. His pleas were the same every time. Occasionally he would add on a few more good reasons to why they absolutely had to have a dog, but for the most part his reasons stayed the usual. "Daddy, if we had a dog, we wouldn't have to throw away all our food scrap, all of our scrap chicken bones and grits and stuff. If we had a dog, we could just give it to him." He paused. Meanwhile, Mr. Wallace was pretending not hear his son. Pretending to not hear his son. Meanwhile, Mr. Wallace was pretending not to hear his son. Was pretending to not hear his son. I can't even. Was pretending not to hear his son. "Another good reason is for protection," he said with exuberance. "If someone tried to break in with a gun, a good dog would bark to warn us." "Yeah, that's right. A good dog would bark and do all kinds of tricks and everything good dogs do, like bite people." "Bite people? Now see, that's exactly why we don't need a dog. You want me and your mom to have to go to court and have to pay out money. Besides, they just don't make good dogs like when I was a little boy," said Henry. "Shoot, when I was young, we had a dog named Champ. Old Champ could find a hog in the rain, sleet, or snow. Whenever your granddaddy's pigs rooted underneath the fence, Champ would come and tell us." I'm gonna have to read this over because Lord have mercy, I sound like a. You can hear my dyslexia this morning. Yes, you can hear it. Now I have no excuses. The the snow, the sleet, the rain, then the hog got out. No. Excuse me. Let me bring this from the top. Bite people? Now see, that's exactly why we don't need a dog. You want me and your mom to have to go to court and have to pay out money. Besides, they just don't make good dogs like when I was a little boy," said Henry. "Shoot, when I was young, we had a dog named Champ. Old Champ could find a hog in the rain, sleet, or snow. Whenever your granddaddy's pigs rooted out underneath the fence, Champ would come and tell us, kind of like he knew what was going on. He was a smart dog, old Champ. Me and your Uncle Bubba would put on our boots and get in them woods like two professional trackers on the hunt. Shucks, sometimes we let him out on purpose just to see what old Champ was gonna do and to have a little fun. Know what I mean? asked Henry. Yeah, I know, said the boy with certainty. He'd heard the story a countless number of times, so much so he'd often talk along with his father. All I'm saying is, even if there was a big old alligator in this pond, I wouldn't be scared. If we had a dog, he said, a good dog would grab that alligator by the tail and swing him around and round and throw his stinky alligator butt way out in the middle of the water. So, when are we going to get him? Jacob asked. Get who? Said Henry while receiving a nibble on his line. The dog, Daddy. Another champ, Jacob said. I never said nothing about getting no dog, the man said as the one nibble grew into many. The story has to come back to the gator. Oh, I thought I heard you say I heard you say you were gonna think about it, Jacob continued. Son, if you and your sister keep hearing things, I'm gonna take both of y'all to get y'all heads checked out. Probably all them cigarettes. Probably all them cigarettes your mom, your doggone mama used to. Trying to make that flow a little bit better. Alright. Son. Now, son. Now, son, if you and your sister keep hearing things, I'm gonna take both of y'all to get your heads checked out. Probably all them cigarettes your mama used to smoke when she was pregnant. I will say this, if you can't stop joking around so much, okay. Now, she's super religious now. Maybe she wasn't before. Because in the black community, super religious black women don't smoke cigarettes or drink. Okay, probably all them cigarettes your mama used to smoke before she got religious. Before she got religious, not pregnant. Probably all them cigarettes your mama used to smoke before she got religious. I know the pregnant thing may be a funnier line, but I said she was religious, so I gotta stay on that. And in the black community, if one of my aunties read this, or when they read this, one aunt in particular, she would say that same thing to me. Religious, maybe some religious women smoke, but religious black women, I can't think of not one. Like super religious black women, they don't smoke, they don't drink. They may gossip. They may gossip. That may compensate for all the non-smoking and drinking. They do gossip. All right. Let me read that one more time. Now, son, if you and your sister keep hearing things, I'm going to take both of y'all to get your heads checked out. Probably all them cigarettes your mama used to smoke before she got religious. I will say this. If you can't stop joking around so much, If you can stop joking around so much, before finishing the sentence, his bright yellow and orange cigar bobber took a deep dive under the dark water With both hands wrapped firmly around the rod, the man jumped to his feet. After one good jerk, he began reeling in the line, causing the rod to bolt. Whatever was on the other end of the line had taken the bait to the bottom of the fishing hole. Man, we got a big one, Jake. Let me see. Man, we got a big one, Jake, he said excitedly. Must be that gator, Daddy. You want me to get the gun? Not yet. Let me fight with it some more. The two watched in amazement as the line now stretched tight. Should that be taut? Should that be stretched taut? Let me see something here. No, don't stretch taut. Well, it works. It works. I don't see any squiggly lines. What it sound like though? The two watched in amazement as the line now stretched taut. I don't like taut. I like tight better. Slashed violently through the water. It shot to the right, then back to the left, then up a little towards them, then back. See, that sounds like a fish. A fish does this. Every time I go over this part. Well, we don't know it's a gator, so it could be a fish, could be a giant catfish, so we'll leave it there. We'll leave it. We don't know for sure what it is. The two watched in amazement as the line now stretched tight, slashed violently through the water. It shot to the right, then back to the left, then up a little towards them, then back and to the right. The beast at the bottom of the hole was on the brink of breaking the rod in, it seemed. The wrestling had knocked Henry's straw hat. All right, this part here, let's see, this is what we're gonna do, because I need to, you can't ignore your notes. You write your notes for a reason. So I'm gonna make this purple, so I'll know where to look when I come back through. So this is purple. I'm on page 22, and I'm going to go to the top, page 22, because this is my note. My note reads, and I wrote this November 4, 2024. Remember to add that Henry's wearing a straw hat in the beginning. Details is everything. All right, so on page 22, we're going to go to the very top, and we're going to put the cursor right here, and then we're going to search hat. Right. We're gonna search, find what? Hat. Find next. Oh, it's okay. I gotta find whole words. Let me go back, because it's gonna find everything with the HAT within that word. So let's find whole words. Find whole words only. All right. Hat. Henry straw hat. So that took me back to page 22. See? So I don't have hat in the beginning, but now I got to use my memory to try to figure out where can I add the detail of the hat. So what I do remember is I'm going to do another search. I do remember describing Henry's face as let's say this beard. I remember mentioning his beard. So find whole words, and we go right here. Thick beard. Okay, so now As Henry continued laughing hysterically, joyful tears began running down his sun-baked face, a handsome face, burnt bronze in color. As Henry continued laughing hysterically, joyful tears began running down his sun-baked face, a handsome face, burnt bronze in color, a face that had seen so much in its 38 years. Soon the tears were rivers traveling down smooth hills, salty streams that found his thick beard like an African delta. Okay, so here's where I can put the hat. All right. As Henry continued laughing hysterically, underneath a straw hat, as Henry continued laughing hysterically, underneath his straw hat, underneath his straw hat, underneath his straw hat, joyful tears began running down his sun-baked face. That's the garage door. All right, so now I got the straw hat. Okay. So you got to have somewhat of a decent memory, you know what I mean? Now, so as Henry continued laughing hysterically, underneath his straw hat, joyful tears began running down his sun-baked face. A handsome face, burnt bronze in color, a face that had seen so much in its 38 years. Soon the tears were like rivers traveling down smooth hills, salty streams that found his thick beard like an African delta. All right, now we go back to 22. Now we do a quantum leap back to 22. And we can make this black again. And I didn't waste too much time on that because for obvious reasons, you know, I'm going to go over this again, and we delete this comment. Henry's straw hat. I may mention his hat again. I don't know. The wrestling had knocked Henry's straw hat in a way that it covered his eyes. Out of frustration, he jerked his head, causing the big hat to fall to the ground. "Get the gun, son," he said to Jacob. "This ain't no ordinary fish we dealing with." Just as the boy came back with the rifle, the bow in the rod suddenly gave like a catapult. The tip of the pole came shooting up with only 2 feet of line left on it. "What was that?" asked Jacob. "I don't know. Might have been that gator." Yeah. That might have been the giant catfish because, like I said, gators are going to do that spin. But fish, they zip from side to side. I don't know. Might have been that gator. Might have been a giant catfish, said Henry as he composed himself. You see how the details, the reason you go over a story so many times is because every time you go over it, you see something that needs to, like you see a piece of art that needs a certain color injected or a certain stroke And you got to use the putty knife. You got to use the brush. You got to scrape something. You got to combine colors. So every time you go the story in a book or short story or whatever it is, you add these details and you take away certain things. Then, as though the conversation about the dog wasn't interrupted, Jacob said, "Okay, Daddy, I'll start right now." Still breathing hard from the short battle, his father gave a bewildered look. "Say what?" he said, gasping. "What you said? What you said about joking around? I'll start being serious right now." The father was amazed at the persistence of his 10-year-old son. He just had the fight of his life with some unidentified underwater creature, and his son's mind stayed focused on his wish of one day owning a dog. It was impressive. After the short but strenuous encounter with whatever it was that had taken his bait and hook, Henry Wallace picked his hat up, dusted it off, and sat back down on the 5-gallon bucket, smiling to himself, amused by the genius of his son, and wondering about whatever it was that had snapped a 100-pound gauge line. He started putting new tackle on. Jacob leaned the rifle against a nearby tree before standing in front of his father with the most serious look on his face. Cocking the big straw hat back, allowing the sun to cascade around the shape of his 10-year-old son. Did I say 10-year-old son? Like, yes, I did. See? The father was amazed at the persistence of his 10-year-old son. One of these got to go. Of his son. The father was amazed at the persistence of his son. He just had the fight of his life with some identified underwater creature, and his son's mind stayed focused on his wish of one day owning a dog. It was impressive. After the short but strenuous encounter with whatever it was that had taken his bait and hook, Henry Wallace picked his hat up, dusted it off, and sat back down on the 5-gallon bucket, smiling to himself, amused by the genius of his son, and wondering about whatever it was that had snapped a 100-pound gauge line. He started putting new tackle on. Jacob leaned the rifle against a nearby tree before standing in front of his father with the most serious look on his face, cocking the big hat back, allowing the sun to cascade around the shape of his 10-year-old son, who stood firmly with his arms crossed just in front of his father. The man looked up and couldn't help but to shake his head while cracking a smile. "So, you're going to be serious now?" said Henry, holding back chuckles. "Yep, ain't no joking around for the rest of my life," said Jacob. He'd never seen the boy with such a determined look. The father was realizing just how much his son wanted, just how much the boy wanted a dog, the boy. You keep saying the son, or his son, his son, his son, his son. So let's change that up a little bit. He'd never seen, I just said the boy right here. He'd never seen the boy with such a determined look. The father was realizing just how much the boy wanted a dog, his son. What about Jacob? I just said Jacob too. Okay then, if you can continue to be as dedicated as you are right now for more than a few days, I'll try to find you a puppy. For real, Daddy? Serious? The boy said. Daddy, please don't be joking. Not joking. I'm as serious as whatever it was that just took my $3.75 worth of tackle. When, Daddy? Jacob insisted. Now hold on, son. See, you're already doing too much. I thought we agreed that you would start being a little more serious. I am being serious. I was just joking. I mean, not joking, but just playing around. But not in a jokey kind of way. Playing in a serious way. Like the time you said that you and Mama was just messing around in the room that time when y'all was bouncing on the bed and Mama was making all kinds of funny noises. Yeah, that's it. I was just... Boy, I get the point. Henry tried cutting it short, and though a pause did come moments later, Jacob started up again, adding to the elaborate explanation, no longer implicating his parents playing around, thankfully. But the damage had been done. But the damage had been done like a leaky battleship inadvertently hit with friendly fire. His father could no longer hold back the subtle chuckles, sinking in an ocean of hilarity, hissing with suppressed laughter. Barely able to speak, he added, "Okay, Jake, just be quiet and see if you can't catch a fish or two. I'll be over here putting my rod back together." With the sun still blazing overhead, he pulled down on the front of his big straw hat and opened up the little green tackle box that had been sitting next to the bucket he sat on. "Daddy, am I still going to get a dog?" Jacob asked. After only a minute had gone by, the boy sounded somewhat disappointed. Jacob asked after only a minute, and his voice laced with disappointment. Now, this sentence right here, this is telling and not showing. The boy sounded somewhat disappointed. That's telling you. I'm telling you, he sounded, instead of showing you. Jacob asked after only a minute had gone by, his voice laced with disappointment. Okay. As his father sat, head down, busy at fixing the rod, he looked up at his son and said, "I'll have to see how long you can be serious." Put emphasis on the effect of the mysterious substance. Okay, I think I can delete that because he's about to do that, so, alright. So now this is going to be green. With those words and after a sip from his canteen, little Jacob seemed to go into a state of deep thought. His attention went back to the dark water. The tiny sparkling crystals were still there, everywhere. Staring closer, his mind began a type of meditation. He became fixated on the water and the beauty of it all. The boy had put himself in a trance. He was wondering What was it exactly that almost pulled Daddy in the pond? Is it still there, in the same spot? The yellow and orange float hadn't moved. It was probably the gator, the owner of the leathery eggs that they'd seen near the path, or perhaps some type of aquatic monster that terrorized fishermen and ate little boys who were too slow to run away. Watching the water was soothing to Jacob. Watching the water, let's say gazing at the water. Oh, she already got gazing right there. Never mind. Watching the water was soothing to Jacob. His worries about not being serious enough in order for his father to break down and finally get him a puppy had drifted away. On a ripple, the pestering thoughts and worries had left his mind. They'd somehow transformed themselves and were now in the form of him. And with a blink, those thoughts had somehow transformed themselves and were now in the form of him. Little gazing Jacob sitting atop the float, a miniature Jacob sitting with his head down, chin resting on a fist. The boy was feeling different. Maybe this Jacob's mind still raced with thoughts as he sat there bobbing up and down, stranded in the middle of nowhere. In the physical, the boy's worries had faded away like a setting sun. He no longer worried about getting a puppy. There were no worries at all. As the reflection of the sun, a fragmented image of the huge fiery ball, the huge fiery ball. Fiery ball now danced on the dark waters, and as trees began to sway in the distance from a breeze that seemed to come from nowhere, the boy did not see when his yellow and orange cork vanished. It was only a desperate thirst came over him. He took another sip of the mysterious substance. It was only when his rod leaped from his hands. Wait a minute. As the reflection of the sun. Okay. Go ahead and cut that. As the reflection of the sun, a fragmented image of the huge fiery ball now danced in the dark waters, and as trees began to sway in the distance from a breeze that seemed to come from nowhere, the boy did not see when his yellow. Okay, so I gotta put that somewhere else. The boy was feeling different. Maybe this Jacob's mind still raced with thoughts as he sat there bobbing. In the physical, the boy's worries had faded away like a setting sun. He no longer worried about getting a puppy. There was no worries at all. Oh, wow.
YouTube Premium is ad-free
That's a
YouTube
first.
and the YouTube Music app all together.
Ah, that's the first. It's been 46 minutes, y'all. I want to go back to the writing thing, though. Oh. So it wasn't even done yet. All right. Maybe this Jacob's mind still raced with thoughts as he sat there bobbing up and down, stranded in the middle of nowhere. In the physical, the boy's worries had faded away like a setting sun. Okay. In the physical, the boy's worries were fading away, not had. Were fading away. We're fading away. We're fading away like a setting sun, because a setting sun, you still have light. You know. So you can't say his worries had faded away. Had faded, I mean, it means it's gone. It's gone. But you say setting sun and faded away is two different things. A setting sun, it's setting. I don't care if you can't even see the sun anymore. You can still see light. In the physical, the boy's worries were fading away like a setting sun. He no longer worried about getting a puppy. There were no worries at all. Only a sudden thirst, a desperate thirst. A desperate thirst that overcame him. A desperate thirst that overcame him. He took another sip of the mysterious substance. As the reflection of the sun, a fragmented image of the huge fiery ball now danced on the dark waters, and as trees began to sway in the distance from a breeze that seemed to come from nowhere, the boy did not see when his yellow and orange cork vanished. It was only when his rod leaped from his hands and onto the grass that his attention, still free of worry, came rushing back. "Jake, you got something. Something big," his father shouted. Quickly the boy left his bucket to chase the fleeing rod. "Hurry up before it goes in the water." Without delay, he moved in an attempt to stop the darting rod, stamping down hard with one foot but missing, and a second try did land on the handle, but the moving rod continued to slide, causing the boy to lose his balance. He fell to the ground, tumbling, then getting to his knees, bear crawling like his life depended on it. He managed to leap forward in time to grab it. "Hold on, son, I'm coming," his father said before dropping his own rod. "I got it, Daddy," Jacob hollered proudly. Hurrying on the scene, Henry dropped to one knee with his arms wrapped firmly around his son, lumberjack hands engulfing Jacob's. The two of them held on tight to the rod. In the distance, the proud father saw that less than 50 feet away, and in the exact location the bait had been taken, what looked like two widely spaced eyes appear in the shimmering dark water. For only a moment, but what felt like to be an eternity, everything seemed to have stopped. As they began reeling, Henry realized the fishing line was beyond its max holding capacity. Suddenly, the creature began to spin furiously. Water started splashing everywhere. "It's her," said Henry. "It's gotta be the gator." Giving a little slack on the line, the two watched hopelessly as the inevitable happened. The line snapped. With the sudden break, the bow in the pole sprang back instantly, launching the remaining line from the water. Hook, line, and sinker were all still with whatever had taken the bait. Breathing heavy and laughing after being hit with a few droplets of pond water, the two stood there staring at the calming water and the lost cause. As the day went on, young Jacob was showing much maturity. There was no more playing around, even though he ached to tell his father about what he thought it was that had snapped the two lines. Despite this longing to be his normal self, after the missed catch, while remembering his promise of good behavior, and after reattaching new tackle to his line, he'd gone back to staring at the water. The boy found himself back out there atop the bobbing float, totally bored now that all the excitement had left, that very vivid imagination that some little boys possessed. Jacob's little buddy, his subconscious mind now wild stories about no wild stories about underwater creatures, no yearning to have a dog. Just his mind was resting at peace, content with just being there, back on the cork, bobbing up and down as the day drifted away. Not long after the second gator episode, or whatever it had been, Henry Wallace managed to catch his first fish, a small brim. Throwing it back to grow seconds later, Jacob caught something. Wow, it's 8:17, y'all. I gotta get out of here. Let's similar. It was a slightly larger redbreast. As time moved by, and as thick white clouds moved in and out, the two went on to catch fish after fish. With no one else there sharing the pond, it quickly grew into a friendly competition between father and son. It had been something extra special about that day. The day the water shimmered. The way the water shimmered, how the sun shined, how beams of light penetrated through some of those clouds while warming bare skin. Unlike his father, Jacob hadn't worn a hat to protect his head and face. The sun was draining the boy of his rambunctiousness, thereby aiding in the calming effect. Okay, this is gonna be red. That's in red. 27. Red 27. Red 27. And we're gonna pick it back up here in the green. Tomorrow, we're gonna go ahead and save this. I hope you future writers are paying attention. All right. Till next time, man. Hit that like, leave a comment. This is Anthony L. Kelly. I'm out.